Alright, the next thing we're going to do now is to sync, or call it synchronization. Now this is a process whereby we use the sound that was recorded on the soundboard and the sound of the camera, and then we are going to sync it together. Now if the audio used for your camera is directly from the camera, then you need the audio from your sound mixer so that it's going to be clear, because the audio that comes with the camera is not going to be clear because of this distance of the stage to where the camera was positioned and the noise of the environment that is around it. So it's best to use the sound that you recorded on your mixer to sync with the sound that you recorded on your camera. Let me explain briefly to you how the sequence timeline works. All right, so now as soon as I create the sequence, you notice all of these things which were not originally there pops out. Now you notice we have v1 here, v2, v3. Now each of those things are layers that you can stack up together. You can put in your footages there, you can put in your lower thirds or your graphics there, you can put in your images there. Now on the bottom part you see A1, A2, A3. That stands for the audio files. All right, you can stack up layers of audio, stack up layers of video. The same way you can stack up layers of video, you can stack up layers of audio as well below, these things. Now this icon here is used to mute. If you want to mute your audio, this icon is used for mute, and this icon here is used to hide your video. So if you click this icon and it is crossed, that means the videos file that you dragged into this position is going to be hidden, it's not going to be displayed. Now same thing with the audio. If you mute, any layer of audio you mute will not be heard in your project. All right, now this S is for solo. That means the audio file you solo is going to be the only one that will be heard if they are stacked. If there are layers of audio that are stacked, only the one that is solo is going to be heard. You can solo multiple tracks, of course. Now this is useful when you just want to be sure of where a source is coming from, a source of sound is coming from. So you can use the solo button to know, is it this file that is making this noise or that is producing this sound, or things like that. But as you go along, you're going to understand the place of these things. All right, so the next thing we are going to do is to sync your audio files with your video files. All right, so to do this, I usually start by dragging in the audio first, so using the audio as a reference. Now because I have two cameras which I want to use, and each of those cameras are going to come with their sound, the audio from camera 1 is going to stay in audio 1, the audio from camera 2 is going to stay in audio 2. Now since I don't have a third camera, I can now decide to put my audio file in the third layer of the audio. The reason I'm putting it there is that if I put it in audio 1 and I bring in my camera footage, it's going to overwrite the original audio that I put there, and that's going to make it useless. All right, that's why I have to create a space for the audio coming from the two cameras. So camera 1 is going to stay here, camera 2 is going to stay here, and then camera 3, there's no camera 3, so the audio 3 is going to be a free space for me. All right, now I'm going to drag in my first video file. All right, now there are two basic ways that I know that you can use to sync your video with your audio. Now there is the automatic way and there is the manual way. The automatic way is going to be a good option if your camera records a single file throughout the whole record from start to finish. That is, you don't have any breaking points, and this is usually not the case with DSLR cameras. DSLR cameras usually stop at some particular minutes. After some particular minutes, some cameras stop and you have to press record again. Some cameras like the GH4 which I'm using automatically resumes the record after it stops, so you don't have to press it yourself, but it breaks the files. It doesn't have a single file record. That's why you have multiple files here. I use the Canon 60D for the camera 2, it breaks its own files too, and I use a Panasonic Lumix GH4 for the camera 1. Alright, so it breaks its files after some certain minutes, it stops. So I'll have to drag the first file. So this automatic method might not work well for multiple files, because you'll discover that the audio files will be shifting, and once you sync one file, it's not going to sync the other, is not going to sync again when you sync the other. Alright, so to sync this file, I'm going to select the two files, that is the video file and the audio file. You can just drag over them or select one and press shift and select the other one, and then right click, you're going to see synchronize. I'm going to click synchronize now and select the audio, and the track channel is going to be the second file, so we're using the second file to sync these files together. Alright, and press OK. Now you're going to wait for the computer to do its magic. It's going to align these files exactly where it's supposed to be in the audio file. Now this might take some minutes depending on the capacity of your computer. Alright, so the computer has done its magic and it has discovered that this is where the audio file synchronizes with the audio file. So if I play it, so you're going to see that it is synced. Now originally, if I Ctrl Z and play it, you're going to see that the audio file is sounding different from the video file. Because some of our financial difficulties can be traced to the activities of the devil. So you notice that the video is saying something else and the audio is saying something else. Now, but after I synchronized, you'll notice that the two is saying exactly the same thing. Alright, so now the problem with this method is if I bring another file and I want to sync it again with the audio file, and I press synchronize. Now once it is done synchronizing, you will notice that the audio file has shifted. Now it shifted so as to favor this video file. So when I play it, it is in sync. It is in sync with the video. But when I go back to the first video which I synced, you notice that it is out of sync. Now that's because when it was going to sync the second video, it synced it in favor of the video. Now it wasn't doing it sequentially, and there's no way I can sync the two together simultaneously. You are going to see that the synchronize icon is going to be grayed out, so I have to sync one video at a time, except they are in different layers. Alright, so that's the drawback of using this automatic synchronization for DSLR recordings, especially because of the fact that the audio file is a straight file but the video file is not a straight file. Alright, so now I'm going to teach you the manual method, how I do this. Now you can get faster with time as you practice this. Now this is how I do it. I'm going to listen to the first file and listen to what is being said. So I heard, "Be thou exalted, Lord, in Jesus' name." I'm going to mark in at that point. So to mark in, there is this icon here which is mark in, or the shortcut is I. Once I press I, I've marked in on the preview or the source, on the source panel. Alright, so if I drag this video into the timeline, it's going to start from the point where I marked it in. Now I'm going to look for that point where they said, "Be thou exalted in Jesus' name," on the timeline, so that I can drag the video to start at that exact point so as to sync it with the audio. Now listen.
Give you praise. Be thou exalted, Lord, in Jesus' name.
So that's the point where they say, "Be thou exalted, Lord, in Jesus' name." So I'm going to drag the video file and make sure that it starts where the timeline marker is. Now this blue icon here is the timeline marker. Now you notice that I zoomed in. Now the shortcut for zooming in is minus and plus. If you press minus, it's going to zoom out. If you press plus, it's going to zoom in so that I can see the files clearly. You also notice that as I was dragging the file, it is, snapping to this point. Snapping to this point. That's the function of this icon here where it says snap. The shortcut is S. If I uncheck it, you'll notice that the file is not going to snap to where the timeline marker is. So but if I press S, it's going to start snapping again. So it's going to make sure that it's at the exact point where I marked it. Now, but if I listen to this, I need to be sure that it is synchronized.
Lord, come and help us.
Now you notice that I cannot hear the video file. Now that's where I need the track mixer. so I can make sure that the audio from the camera, I can hear it as much as I can hear the audio that is coming directly from the mixer, so that I can be sure that I am syncing exactly. To bring the audio track outside where I can, balance this sound and balance the mix, I'll go to Windows and then look for where it says audio track mixer. So I'm going to click this, and it's going to be displayed within the panel where the source monitor also displayed. Now when I play it, you'll notice that my audio coming from the mixer, which is in audio 3, the layer 3 of the audio, is quite high compared to the audio coming from the camera, which is in audio 1. What I'm trying to achieve is to make sure that the audio coming from the mixer is not too loud, but it is balanced with the audio coming from the camera. I'm still going to switch off the audio coming from the camera later, but in order for me to achieve this manual synchronization and to make it perfect, I'm going to have to reduce the volume of the audio coming from the mixer. So watch as I do this.
Man, open us up to what we must know. Help us, dear Lord. In Jesus' name. I want to speak on.
So you see the two volumes, as you can see the levels as it is being displayed, that the two volumes are now averagely at the same height. So one is not overriding the other. So if it is correctly synced, I should not be able to hear the difference. But if I can hear the difference to a slight, milliseconds, then I have to adjust it to make sure it is perfectly in sync. So I'm going to listen again to be sure that it is correctly synced. So according to what I've heard, I think it is perfectly synced. So for you to confirm that it is perfectly synced, you can choose to mute the audio of the video by pressing the mute button here and then playing it to be sure that the sound you are hearing, which is coming from the audio of the mixer, syncs exactly with the video. So this is perfect. All right, so now you can come to the end of the video which you just synced now, and then click the second video and then listen again to know where to place it.
In God's kingdom.
It says in God's kingdom. So I'm going to look for where it says in God's kingdom in the audio file as I continue to play it.
That is the kingdom business. If that is your call, you have no choice. You are to live by faith. And anybody that will live by faith, he will not be chosen. Whatever he provides. In God's kingdom.
So this is the part where it says in God's kingdom. So I am going to now notice that as I listen to that point, I paused the video so that the marker is going to be exactly at the point where it says in God's kingdom. And since I've already marked in on the video, I'm going to drag it to that point where I also stopped the audio, and it's going to sync exactly where it's supposed to be. So when I play it, I'm going to listen to be sure that it's properly synced. So why I'm listening again is there might be a slight or millisecond difference in the audio from the camera and video, so that I can shift it some milliseconds if there's any shift, if it's not a perfect synchronization already.
Release yourself to that work.
So I can't hear the audio from my camera, so I want to increase. Oh, okay, I see, I've already muted. Okay,
Release yourself.
now I notice that there's a slight change. There's a slight milliseconds change now, and from what you can see in the waves of the audio, you notice that the audio coming from the camera is a bit ahead of the audio coming from the mixer. So what I do is I'll come back to the edge of the the edge of the video clip. Now to come to the edge, all you just have to do is to click the down arrow or the up arrow, so it will come to those points where the the project files or the video file starts from. It could be the audio as well. So now, and I'm going to press the right arrow key. When you press the right arrow key, the timeline marker goes one step at a time or one frame at a time. When I click it, you'll notice it's going. You can also check these frames. Now this is hours, minutes, seconds, and frames. Now you check that as I'm moving the arrow, the right arrow, one step at a time, is moving one frame at a time. So I want to move it by 2 frames, move it away by 2 frames so that it can sync properly. 1, 2, and check if it sounds better. Now already visually I can see that it looks like it is well arranged, but I'll listen to the show.
Release yourself to that wall.
Perfect. So now, because I marked in, the video is starting from the point where I marked in. But now, for me to show the full video, I'm going to expand the video. Just come to the edge and expand it so that it shows the full video file itself. Alright. So this is what you do to sync, and you sync the whole thing. That's the process, the step you're going to go through. Now, another advantage of using automatic synchronization is, now take for instance, if I bring this camera 2, I import this camera 2 into the project file, into the sequence, into the timeline. Now I can sync the 3 together because they are different layers. Now if I press synchronization, if it's a single file, I mean it's going to be a perfect one, then I don't have to spend much time trying to synchronize. So I'll just click the 3 files, and then the computer is going to do its magic and it's going to sync it exactly where it's supposed to be. So now the next thing after you have synced your files is to start editing. Now there are 2 basic ways you can edit, especially when you're using 2 cameras. Now I'm going to demonstrate this in a later tutorial, how you can edit directly from this sequence, or how you can use the multi-camera tools on the Premiere Pro software, which makes it easier. It's as though you're working on a video mixer. You can choose that camera 1 should be active right now, camera 2 should be active right now. So I'm going to show you that in a later tutorial, and how you can do it manually without using multi-camera view, in case your computer does not have that capacity or it slows down on your computer. I'm going to demonstrate this in a later tutorial, so make sure you subscribe to my channel and click the notification bell so that you can be notified when I post this video. So I believe you've learned one thing or the other in today's tutorial. If so, I want you to click the like button and share this video with your friends in the media who might need this video to learn and to improve in their skills as they serve God through the media. So thank you for staying to the end of this tutorial. Like always, I want to encourage you to be devoted and diligent in your service to God. The Bible says, whatsoever your hand findeth to do, do it with all your heart. Even though you might not be get paid for serving in the media where you're working, it might be a volunteer service, just know that nothing that you do for God is in vain. Do it with all your heart. Don't do it just to fill in the gap. Do it diligently to get a result. God rewards excellence. You might think people are not noticing, but they notice works of excellence as much as God does. God most of all notices work of excellence. If you are doing it for people, you have your reward. But if you are doing it for God, you have a great reward. So make sure you do your work with excellence, and that means learning how to do things better. Get to learn how to do things better so that your work can be effective and efficient as you serve God through the media, and you get blessed in the process. So till I come your way next time in a new tutorial, remain in the Lord's service. God bless you.